Adobe After Effects CS3 has some great new features that allows it to better integrate with Adobe Flash CS3. So here I have a composition of my karate guy. And what I've done is I've come down on the timeline here and I've added a bunch of markers to this composition. So I have a couple of types of markers here. I have layer markers, which are actually attached to a specific layer. And then I have composition markers, which are obviously markers for the entire composition. So we can see this first layer marker called Explode is set to go off exactly when this kick happens. And we can see that this little vector explosion starts. So in After Effects CS3, I can actually convert these markers into Flash cue points for use in Flash video files. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click on this layer marker, and we can now see the layer marker dialog window. So from here we can see at the bottom we now have a Flash video cue point and parameters section. So I can give my cue point a name. I'm just going to call it Explosion. And I can choose between the two types of cue points in Flash video, event or navigation. And this one is particularly suited to event. And you can see I can add up to 3 name value pairs here to add more information into my cue point, so that then later on in Flash, using ActionScript, I can retrieve these values and use them in my Flash movie. So if I click OK, we can now see that that layer marker has a little indication here, this dot, and it's letting me know that I have a Flash cue point on this marker. Now I can do the same exact thing to composition markers as well. So if I double click, I get to the composition marker window, and again, I'm just going to give it a name, comp marker 1, and we can see our indication that there's now a cue point on this. Now we can use the cue points externally if we wanted to export the marker data to an XML file, or we can actually embed them directly into our Flash video files when we export them from After Effects. So when it comes to exporting After Effects content to Flash, there are a couple of options that you have. The first is to export content as an SWF file. We can do that through the File menu, choose Export, Adobe Flash SWF. And when I do that, I now get the SWF settings dialog box. But exporting your content as a SWF is really only good for vector content. So if you were to, say, create text animations here in After Effects, that would be particularly suited to exporting to the SWF format. Anything else, and this composition being a good example, we're going to want to export to Flash video instead. So I'm going to cancel that. So in order to export this composition as a Flash video file, we do it just like we export anything else in After Effects. Composition, and I'm going to add it to the render queue. And now from here, I can set up my output module, and this is essentially what format I want to save it to. And under Format, I'm going to choose Adobe Flash Video. And when I do that, I now get the Flash Video window where I can set up all the parameters for my encoding job. So now when I actually render this, it's going to render it out as an FLV file, and it's going to have that cue point information embedded inside of it. I can then respond to those cue points inside of my Flash movie. Another really handy feature of the CS3 suite is the new ability inside of Adobe Bridge CS3 to preview FLV files. So I've exported that composition to an FLV, and you can now see that I can see it here inside of Adobe Bridge. And this is a really cool thing because previously you would have to have gone into the Flash authoring tool and exported it in order to actually see this video. So now we can preview them right here inside of Bridge. So there's lots of exciting new ways in which you can integrate Adobe After Effects CS3 with Adobe Flash CS3.